I don't expect any of that like and share just on brotherly love kind of thing. It's like now we have an opportunity to talk about what Los Ocampo has become, and that's what I'm excited about, man. That's what I'm excited about, is to kind of celebrate what this is, So to everybody who's tuning in, this is Minnesota Well Done. I'm Christos, and this is Julian Ocampo. I always say, this is one of my old friends, but like we have known each other since we were 10.
Yeah, I think I was 9. Wow. Maybe 8. No, 9. Yeah.
Young.
Long time.
Young. I mean, like prepubescent children, And you are the owner and operator of all of the Los Ocampos, the food truck, and Machete, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Is there anything I'm missing?
Yeah, it's a family-owned, so, like, I'm one of the owners. But, I mean, we all work in and together to manage everything.
Right. So you have your mom, Lillian.
Lilia, yeah.
Lilia, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, okay. You're nervous, dude. I'm like, I already screwed it up.
I'm always nervous.
And then your pops, Armando.
Armando, yeah.
And if for people who are relatively acquainted with the Ocampos, they might know your dad,
right? Or my mom,
or your mom. I mean, they are the ones who really kicked it into gear. Yeah. But I will say that you have been the ideal child, and you have really pulled it together. I mean, like, not that it was like all over the place. I'm just saying that, like, instead of going like, I want to be an actor,
right?
You have really spearheaded the business, man. Right. You're killing it, dude.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So explain all of what you got going on to date, and then we'll backtrack to like when we were kids.
Okay. Sweet. Well, I mean, right now we have 7 restaurants, right? We have one in Woodbury called Machete Cocina Mexicana, and that's just kind of like a more upscale, from the authentic Los Ocampo. It was kind of my idea, a new modern take on the base of Los Ocampo. Then we have 2 full-service Los Ocampo Mexican restaurants, one on Suburban and one on University in St. Paul. Then we have like the classic taquerias, taco shops. One in Arcade, still there, and then over on Lake in Chicago, that one's back up after being closed for 2 years. For the landlord wanted to knock it down and build it up, and we're back in there. And we have a taqueria, but we're gonna switch it to Los Ocampo Express. So that's a new concept that we opened in 2018. It's more of a express, build your dish down the line kind of thing, kind of quick. A little smaller menu just to help with the speed and less inventory. Yeah. So that one will be in the Midtown Globe Market, and the other location is in Minneapolis City Center, over in downtown Minneapolis. Yeah, so that's what we have. And then we in 2019, this year was really crazy, right, with everything going on. But 2019 was also like, there was no COVID or anything, and towards the end there was, but the whole year was just a lot of work, like wedding catering. Oh, that's another thing we do. Wedding caterings, like liquor wedding caterings. Then we joined the Minnesota United. We partnered with them for their stadium. And
I forgot about that, you were there. Dude. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Excuse my awe. Yeah. No, go keep going.
Yeah, but so that that gave us a new excuse, I guess, to get a food truck, because we got 12 food truck games for that thing. So then we had to look for one, and we found one, and we built it out, and we didn't have all the money to buy it, obviously, so we put it on payments. And now there's no games, there's no anything, so we're not in there anymore. But we still have the food truck, and we use it throughout the year. So I guess 7 restaurants, a food truck, and if you want to go a little bit farther, and we kind of expanded into property management. So now my parents they own a building on Lake Street in Minneapolis, where they first started. And
like residential or business?
Commercial.
Yeah, commercial. Yeah.
So it has a restaurant space, has like a gym space, has a party space and office space, and then like 3 retail spaces. So like now we're in the process of moving into commercial real estate and renting that out. So that's where we are now.
So okay, so that's where you are now.
Yeah.
And where it started, dude. Yeah. Okay. little into me,
Uh-huh.
right? My first job, right? And I promise this was legal. Was at your dad's place on
Yep,
Arcade,
on Arcade,
just a
yep.
couple blocks away.
I remember.
I was young. You know, we're not going to say on camera how young I was, but it was. I mean, and let's be honest, I was dog shit. I was like a child, and your dad's like, God, this fucking kid.
No. My dad's like that with everybody, with me especially.
But I mean, like, I remember my work ethic as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and like I just didn't understand what I was doing. You know what I mean? So
Right.
like, now I don't mean that I was dog shit as I was I was bad as a human being, but it's like if I was to have that age of a child come work for me and be like, for one, I didn't know Spanish, and at the time it was like there was very little English spoken there.
Yeah.
I would work the cash register when like white people would come in
Because they couldn't talk to them.
yeah, it was like it was a very different world back then, you know. Now you have, it's very bilingual. I mean, it's very bilingual, but at that time it was like, what did you need me to do, you know? And
I remember that.
and the only Spanish that I knew was what I learned from you guys, because we played soccer together, and yeah, anyways, I don't want to get on like a super big tirade about me, but like this was kind of like the move from the community and friendship that I had from soccer, I found in cooking. Right, and it's partially because I started with you guys, right? Like I would go from, our team was, all Latin American, right? And those are the people I grew up with, and I loved them. I still love them today. You know, shout out to all those cats. They're fun. They're good people, right? But I didn't get that in. It's like if I was to go into an office space, like I just wouldn't get the same. I don't know. There's this community in this life, and anyways, I found that in the taqueria, right? And then I continued to find that in different restaurants with different cultures, right? Like we had Olivier on our soccer team, right? The French culture and cooking is just like it's absolutely the same. So anyways, it was a third the size of what it is now. You guys have added on to it, and made it great, Yep. And at the time you had this not small house, but small house for the size of family that you had at the time.
Yeah.
Right. It was a struggle, right? And it's just crazy to see where you guys have gone from that. Now you have, at the time you had the Lake Street place and that place on the east side, and that was it.
Just two.
Now you have 7, a food truck, and like I'm going to a Minnesota United game and I'm seeing Los Ocampos as one of the stands, and it's just it's so cool to see that movement, right? It's not I don't really buy into the whole rags to riches thing, but it's like from my dad's side, there's definitely an immigrant story, right? And I think it's like one of the most successful immigrant stories that I've seen in my life. And people, when I go and eat at Ocampos today, it's still the same, and there is that like authentic feel to it, So I want to talk a little bit to you about how did your dad translate the authenticity, right? Because like when you go to a Greek spot, they'll be like that. It's not all their yaya's recipes, right? Some of them like grew up in a specific town, and these are like the dishes of the town, right?
Okay, yeah.
And with Mexican food, it's like it's such a giant, vast like pool of knowledge, right? And Ocampos, the list of different meats that you guys have it's like you don't see that even in upscale restaurants. It's really it's cool.
Yeah.
How did your family do that? Is it a lot of like family traditions, or is it more like studying that your dad and your mom did? Just let's get into it a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think back when they started it, it was mostly like my mom's idea. My dad, obviously they're together, so like they work together to pull it off. But it was mostly like recipes that my mom had from when she was like younger.
Okay.
So that's how it was. And the menu was only like 8 things long, you know. It's like quesadillas. Everything was like from scratch too, you know, the masa, the corn dough.
Yeah, which is so important.
Like
yeah, it's so important.
And that's like crucial too. It really differentiates, you know, authentic and Mexican. You know, 'cause you can go to Mexican and get a burrito, but it's flour, right? Or you can go to, you know, somewhere else. We'll have burritos too, but we'll have the masa cakes that are handmade that the other places won't have.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big, you know, differentiation. And for the meats, I mean, it was basic. So it was, you know, the chicken, the asada, the pastor, and all that. But I think my mom, you know, since she's really like she's kind of like you in the street. She loves like the kitchen. She loves cooking. She loves mixing flavors and all that. She's the one that kind of said, okay, well, we have these, these base ones. Let's add, chicharrón prensado. You know,
yeah.
It's like, you know, smoked pork and red sauce. A bunch of different stuff. There's, you know, tinga de pollo. Then, you know, one chicken is not enough. Let's do marinated chicken. Let's do chipotle chicken. Let's do Mexican style chicken. Let's do white shredded chicken. Let's do chicken and potatoes.
Yeah.
It's like, so if you can do that with chicken, you can also do it with the beef, with the pork, and all the veggie options. So
yeah,
it was mostly her pushing and my dad supporting. And yeah, I think, you know, that's how it got to where it is, such a big menu.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's. I mean, I had a feeling that it was something along those lines, but I like to hear that it's like, no, it started with family recipes, and then it's just like you grew as
more ideas as
things
you know,
continue to be successful
and change.
Yeah, because that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about is like there's lots of people who start restaurants, especially if they're like I have a friend right now, and I know that she's going to be successful.
Yeah.
Her name is Christina, and she is starting a Venezuelan place, which is, you know, it's just basically at an arepa bar. And I think it's, I don't remember the place. I think it might be in Midtown, but
maybe.
Yeah, it's there's permits and COVID and all these kinds of crazy things going on, but she's more like she went to school for this, and like she's, you know, she was the CDC at the Lexington. But anyways, that's not my point. My point is when there is cultural novelty to what you're doing, you tend to be able to start a restaurant and gain some following, right? But what separates Los Ocampos from other Mexican restaurants, right? Like what have you thought about it?
I mean, yeah, a little bit, but I mean, it's hard to do it. It's hard to really have a clear answer now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like everything is so subjective, you know, like it's what you think, or it's what he thinks, it's what they think.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think?
Well, what do I think? I think, well, back in 2003 when my parents first started it, the thing that obviously differentiated everything is the masa, and everything is from the food that they make is from Cuernavaca, Morelos. So it's a lot of like masa cakes and all that. Sopes, quesadillas, gorditas, you know, tlacoyos, all those things. So I think that's the main thing that differentiates us, because it's still here today. Yeah. But even though we have, you know, seafood now, we have aguachile, we have a bunch of different things now. But I think that main thing is what differentiates. Like I said before, you know, because you can go to a new Mexican place that opened from someone that's from Mexico that has studied and everything. Yeah. But they might not do masa. You know, they might do more, you know, upscale, nicer dishes or things that are actually, you know, traditional Mexican, but they're not what we sell. Yeah. And that's what, you know, I think that's the base that differentiates us.
Yeah, you know, I would agree. I would fully agree with you. I mean, I think that anywhere that I go, I'm always like, and I, you know, I'm spoiled, right? Because like that's the place I first, you know, worked at, and I first kind of experienced the authentic Mexican food, right? And I've, you know, there's places like I think Colita is doing it now. But you know, other than that, like where, dude? Yeah. And I'll go in and I'll be like, you know, do you make the masa here? It's like, maybe we should go somewhere else, you know. Like they just didn't even ask if we wanted flour tortillas, and they just gave it to us.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, it's like there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that is something that has been totally unique about you guys since you started. And another thing that I really like about Ocampos is that now you have, I don't know, you're giving everybody what they want at different places, right? Like the place on Arcade, right? Like there's no bones about it. It's Arcade Street on the east side of St. Paul, right? You're open until, you know, 4:00 in the morning on weekends, and it's packed packed.
Yeah.
You know, it's
At
like
3.
everybody's coming in with their cowboy boots and they're, you know, it's like we know what it is, right? But that's what they want. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? And then at the same time, you open that spot on Suburban.
Right.
And that's, you know, it's much more for people who are like, I'd say people like my mother and my family where they didn't grow up with that kind of food, but they are interested in delicious flavors. And if it's quality, they're definitely awesome, you know, and that's somewhere that they can go and it can kind of like ease people into the whole situation. Right.
Yep.
And then now you have Machete, which is, like you said, upscale, right? And I haven't been just because it's, you know, it's my story is a little peppered with some mistakes, Julian.
I know. It's all right. I have mistakes. It's okay.
But so I haven't checked it out yet, but it's one of the places that like when I saw that it opened, I'm like, oh my God, they have something for everybody. Do you think that variety in your ability, both your variety in geography, right? You have places all over the cities, right? Do you think that's a factor in your success?
Yeah. No, I would agree that. Yeah, like the taquerias, I think are very strategically placed, right, in places that fit that dynamic for that, right? So here in Arcade, you know, the geography or the demographics is, you know, it's a mix. It's African American, it's Asian, it's Latino, and it's Caucasian. So, I mean, even on Payne, a lot of restaurants, like, you know, tongue in cheek, that's on Payne Avenue, but it's still, you know, something that fits here. You know? And same with us over there. The one on Glow, or it's called Chicago and Lake. That one is like the same demographic as it is here. You know, it's people that just want to eat simple, really tasty food. Yeah. And that's it. And then they stay open late. People that, you know, don't have a curfew and, we're going to go to bed at 10. Other people are, you know, up until 3. You know, because that's how they are. Yeah. And like you said, Suburban, that's really like, it's really true what you said. It's an authentic restaurant, but that was, you know, we made it into a place that's inviting for people that have never had that haven't grown up with that. And then, you know, it is a big place. So we did have like a bar and full bar and all that. So that it also entices for them to stay and enjoy and, you know, have the whole experience. And I think that's why it was so successful there in 2011 when they opened it. You know, my parents opened it. Yeah.
I agree. It stayed successful too, you know. So I wanna talk a little bit with you about just our relationship, right? Okay. So I've known you and we played soccer together, and we played with I don't know, people who are like my best friends of all time. You know what I'm saying? I'm so freaking close with them. Yeah. And they have gone different directions than you have, right? And I want to talk to you just a little bit about have you always wanted to pop in and be part of the business, or like what did you what was that kind of forced on you from your parents? Because I have no idea, right? And I don't even want to guess, right? But I'm kind of curious, what has your journey been like? Because, dude, you're a freaking gangster, dude. I love you so much, and you've always been like on your P's and Q's on whatever it is. Like when you did well in soccer, you trained hard, and you got
recognitions.
And let's just talk about it a little bit. Was this what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of it, my decisions stem from like, I guess, who I am or who my parents raised me, right? So like growing up, they always said, be kind, you know, be respectful, like, you know, don't be mean to people. So I think from the beginning, that's what's been ingrained in me, and that, you know, translated into soccer, into school, and you know, the respect from my family, from my mom and dad, and all the things that they've done. Because, you know, you talked earlier about rags to riches. Like they put their whole life on the line, you know, coming here with nothing. And then like my dad was a trucker, and they both worked at Green Mill making pizzas, you know. So like them, like little by little saving up money, having a space on Lake Street and going and doing it. That's what really made me decide, like, okay, if they did all of this and they were able to do it, just them two, with no school, with no, like, you know, different education from all over things that like I know. Yeah. Like, why can't I keep going and, you know, not like say, oh, well, that's what you did, I don't want to do that. Yeah. You know. So it's like a lot of that's what made me decide. And I remember my senior year of high school when I was deciding where to go to college, right? I was like, oh, I could go Like Casey got me like a D1, lead for soccer.
Shout out to Casey's North High School soccer coach. Yeah. Sorry, I bailed.
It's okay. Dude, everybody went like up and down there. I remember Foster too. He just stopped showing up one day. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like in Nebraska, I think. I was like, okay, that's kind of far, but not super far. But like, do I want to do it and leave my parents here? And but I have 3 little sisters too.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. I'm the oldest and the only boy, so I feel like a lot of responsibility falls on me.
Yeah.
So that's all of those factors played into. Okay, you know what? I know D1 is cool. It's gonna be my life because I can't. Everything I do has to be to benefit my skills on the ground on the pitch.
But
so I'm like, okay, maybe I'll dim down that. I can go apply at Hamlin or St. Thomas. I did to both, and I just chose St. Thomas because it was like more business related, more business focused. So
yeah.
I went there and
less
I still
artsy.
Or a little bit more fancy.
White. A little bit more white.
Yeah. But they were working since then, on like diversifying. I think it has gotten. I
think it's a great school. I'm just poking fun. I'm just poking fun.
As I went there, I agree. No, but so I think that's it. And I really focused on school. I finished like on time, but with because I wanted to I got a major and a minor. So I finished in 4 years because I didn't take any break. I did summer classes, I did J-term classes, and finished. And I played soccer for 2.5 years, and that was it. It wasn't. After a while, I was like, you know what? I can't keep doing all what I'm doing, helping my parents and like fixing everything that they've done because they were lucky or like they're good.
Yeah.
They had success, but a lot of it wasn't controlled. So that was what I was doing: going to school, kind of organizing it, showing them how to do it. And playing soccer at the same time. And with that, I with my experience and my 4-year degree, I applied for the MBA, and they were like, well, usually we don't approve you because you're so young because you don't have experience, but you grew up in this, you helped your parents with this, like it's actually real work that you're doing while you're still in school.
Right, kind of like an experience, like almost like a free internship. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But it's like. it was an internship, but also teaching them, teaching my people,
for sure,
my bosses,
sure.
and that's why I got accepted there, and then I met a lot of more, really helpful people. I went places that I never thought I would go in the MBA, and I think all that knowledge that I brought there, really just solidified. Okay, I did all this work where my parents didn't go to any school. I got a freaking 4 degree. I got a master's now. Okay, now I got to really focus and make sure we can move from where we are to however bigger we can get. And so that's what really made me decide I'm doing this.
Wow, I love it.
Crazy,
well, it is, dude. I mean, it's kind of like emotional, right? Not even to be sappy. It's just like I remember picking you up for soccer when
you guys always did
when you were 10, and it's like Pete. And oh yeah, well
What?
Well,
sorry.
We're not gonna trouble. No, but it's been to see what you've done like in a non-patronizing way is just like it's inspirational, and it's something that I definitely look up to and I really appreciate, man.
Well, thank you, man. Yeah, it means a lot too. And I'm not like to go. Saying the whole story, right? Sounds like holy crap, this guy got really or like didn't have any problems doing it. No, it was a pain in the ass, and like I made a bunch of mistakes that cost us a lot, But I figured out, okay, we made that mistake. Are we gonna be sad and like not bounce back from this? We just turn it around and find a way through it, and then we're out of it. And like right now, like the pandemic, nobody was expecting this, right? And look at us, like my parents bought this building last year, right? And there's a mortgage on and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we still have some money from 2018, 2019 to help us through the pandemic, but we can't take another year of this, and that's something that's scary to me, and that's something that's like I'm not gonna, Julian's gonna handle it. No, it's we're all like, what the, we have to lease out the things, we have to start making money in that building, and so that's something that is constantly going on in my head too.
Yeah. Well, dude, I'm impressed, man, and I'm glad you shared your story. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll get right back to it.
Okay. Cool. Sweet.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome to hear like what just how things have changed, right? Like I'm this is part of this show, right, where there is this, I've built this mythology, not I've built it, life has built this mythology, right? These stories of people that I'm surrounded with, right? Very, very cool and interesting people, right? And yourself and your family is kind of included in that, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just it's not that it's like rags to riches. That's not really the thing that's about it. It's like, this is the place that I started at, right? And I can still go to. I still do go to on a regular basis. I still, when people are like, where's good Mexican food, man? I was like, come on, dude. Los Ocampos, dog. I mean, like, it's just off the cuff, and I don't have to lie about it, right? I have, as you know, I've worked in the restaurant industry on kind of like a different, I don't know, like a different vein almost, right? Like the what we try to do is very different from what other restaurants try to do, right? It's very much about marketing, and it's very much about like, we're going to market the chef, right? We're going to market the chef. We're going to market what he knows, and kind of there's just this mythology, right? And so like with Colita, it's really successful because Martina was successful. You know what I mean? And it's like they're kind of one and the same, but they're two very different cultures, right? And it's like people are trying to distill this experience, whereas you guys make good food, and you always have, and I feel like you always will.
Yeah.
It's like it's been consistently good for my entire life, dude. Yeah. And that's something that's very interesting, And I'm not just gonna sit here and dick ride the whole time, I promise. But I think that it's worth stating that is like that I work in a business where like friends of mine will open restaurants, and it's like I want to be able to go, you want to eat there, and sometimes I can't do that. I can't do that with a straight face, and I'm not gonna do it with a straight face. And so people who talk to me about food know they're getting the real deal. Okay. This isn't just because Julian and I played soccer. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it's because the food is good. It's because the business has been tended to in a way that it's consistently good, and that there's still new things coming out of it, right? Like that's part of what I liked about Machete is that, it's like when you're in the kitchen, right, you need consistency, but you also need new things to happen every once in a while. You don't want things to get bland. You don't want things to, go out of style. And even if it's a small change from like what the actual Machete is like just like a giant.
It's like a giant quesadilla.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like, it's fun, and it's like exciting. It's something to go to. It's something to have an experience around, and I just like that's come out of your business model. Let's talk a little bit about what you guys have done to adapt to COVID, because I like having happy go fun time on this podcast, but everybody that I have in here, I need everybody at home to realize everybody's on fucking thin ice right now. Yeah. It's been 9 months of really difficult, uncertain obstacles, right? One obstacle after the other. It's not just the fact that, you can't be open sometimes. It's that, the supply chain's off here, and like people aren't coming in even if you are open. And, how do we like, I always akin it to like you don't know until you're there, because like I've had food from places that are delicious and would have been delicious on the table, but it's sat in a box and steamed, and gotten soggy, and and gotten cold in spots, and it's like what have you done to kind of I don't know, live in the new world, I guess.
Go through it, yeah. Well, I mean, pre-pandemic everything was high volume. High cost of goods sold, to keep up with everything, and we were seeing profit, but not like as much profit as we wanted. So I think going into the pandemic, so we're coming out of it. That winter was the slowest winter in the last 10 years in terms of business, and it wasn't just for us. Our accountant too. He said he saw that across all his accounts. So that was a really, really slow winter. Like it was really hard to get through it. Then we came out, and coming into the spring, things pick up. People want to get out. People want to go to restaurants and all that stuff. So we were excited. We were coming out of that. And then March, COVID hit. Everything got shut down. Things got... We closed for like a week because we didn't know what to do because it was only to-go only. I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? We're like, okay, are we even going to make money with to-go only? So we had to close down for like 4 days, 5 days. We planned, okay, let's start with really low people. Minimal waste. Let's try to keep things low. And there was like no sales at the beginning, and then then people started getting used to go only. Then we started coming out of that, and then we started making sales where we could profit, so we started putting more people in, and things started looking better. And then George Floyd got murdered in May, and then wham, everything got closed down on Lake Street again, and that pummeled us all the way down again, and nobody wanted to spend money. We completely closed one location because it was destroyed, right? Because of the people that were just destroying things. So that was another blow that we took. But it also gave us, since we were closed for so long, we looked at our what's it called, our processes, our expenses, how we did things, our systems, and we found things that we were kind of overseeing pre-COVID. So our managers ordered food, pre-COVID, and they checked their inventory, then they restocked, checked their inventory, restock. But once everything got closed down, we went to look at all the restaurants to see what was all there, and inventory was kind of like off the charts. It was so high, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense why cost of goods sold is so high. I mean, we do sell a lot of food, right? But does it match the COGS being so high? So then we saw that there was a lot of over ordering. A lot of money was kind of just sitting there, money that we could have kind of put somewhere else. So going into COVID, we stopped letting anybody order. We did the ordering. We did the inventory. Now that's what we're still doing now. And if we wouldn't have done that, I don't even think... So I guess COVID, sucks for everybody. Sucks for the whole world, 2020. But it was like a blessing in disguise for a lot of people, I guess. For us especially. Yeah. We would, I don't think we would have, lasted much longer if we were doing it the old way. If that, that's something very, truthful, for me to say about us. And now that all the systems we have now, where we order, where we prep the meat in one location, so it doesn't taste a little bit different in Minneapolis compared to St. Paul. So remember, that was a big thing for a lot of years. Yeah. It was still good, but it's this one tastes a little bit better than that one. Yeah. Yep. So that's all changed. So we that was a big change we made. What's it called? So all the inventory, everything that we order now, we buy big shipments now. And I forgot to mention, I guess my dad, he bought a warehouse, so that's where we have a lot of the dry goods. Yeah. And restaurant equipment that we have left over goes in there. Dry goods goes in there, and that's where we see our inventory, and then we ship it ourselves. So sometimes I do it, sometimes he does it. Well, I think most of the time he does it. He likes to do that because he likes to work out once a week or twice a week. That's his workout, lifting, moving. Yeah. So all of that we control now has really helped us move through the pandemic. Yeah. And the benefit that I think that we have is, like you've been saying, our food is very, it's flavorful, it's authentic, it's priced right. It's not super expensive, and it's not super cheap. People can afford it. Mm-hmm. And there's really like the keyword consistency. People know what they're going to get if they're going to go eat there. Yeah. So I think so the changes we made, having that name for 17 years and that consistency for 17 years, that's really helped us stay afloat and still, provide employment for people. We still employ 80 people or more. Before pre-COVID, it was 160 people, Yeah. So now it's half because people can take unemployment and some people don't want it, or they take a little bit and they still work, so they're still in that threshold. Yeah. The furlough or the lower thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So all of that has led us to here, and also the government did help us a lot. If you heard of the PPP loans, the Payment Protection Program, so that also helped us a lot, because then that gave us money to pay rent in places, to pay people for just so they could have money, and then from that we built throughout the summer, and that really helped us with survive, and it's still helping us now. Yeah. So it was all that. I love that, man. It's a mix. I love that, because it's what you said about good things coming out of it. Mm-hmm. I've seen that in everybody that I've had on this show. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. And I always have to go,
this is a very obviously a very serious situation, and there's
Right.
many people who have lost jobs,
Yep.
or are going to or have lost their homes and can't pay rent, and they have medical bills.
And
I'm actually kind of in that
Right.
group, right? Like, I'm going to school and I no longer have any income. So, like, you know, this show is my income.
Okay.
And it's like I just watch the savings that I've accumulated since I became a free man. I just watched those savings kind of, dwindle over time. So I understand the severity, but at the same time, even for me, it's like there's been so much positive change and needed change, right? Like, this show has been kind of an opportunity for me to learn new skills and make new things happen and make new connections and network in a different way that I never would have before, right? I would have just been, I've been able to work up the ladder in terms of, like, in kitchens and stuff like that, but I would have been still doing that, right? And so that's just on a personal level. But then you go, you talk to farmers and you talk to the way that they've made changes. I talked to R&R cultivation, the mushroom growers, and the changes that they've made, right? They've, instead of, pre-pandemic, and I think that, kind of, let's say just pre-2008, just to make things simple, right?
Okay.
Pre-economic collapse, it was all about get as big as you can and get as many people as you can, and that's how you're going to make money, right? It doesn't it doesn't matter if you're making a cent on every taco, right? As long as you sell 7 trillion tacos, you'll be a trillionaire, right? It was very scale up oriented, scale up.
Right.
And now you're starting to see, scale down, right? And at R&R, they're like, it's 40 miles, right? 40 miles from the building that we grow all of our mushrooms. That's where we're selling to, right? And it's worked for us. And it's definitely more on the more sustainable kind of, that thought process, that business model. Right. And it's kind of like you just see millions of people switch that paradigm in an instant because of COVID, which is a positive that comes out of it. And it's like, it's something that we have to look at, right? It's something that we have to kind of hold on to, in fact, right? Like, and I just love that you brought new ideas. Well, you brought new positives to light. Right. For people who are kind of stuck in a very tumultuous time.
I agree. And what was I gonna say too about the changes? Yeah, like what you said, to be more more or like more sustainable.
Yeah,
that's the same way we're looking at it now. Especially my mom and dad. My mom especially, she's the one that like kind of, like I said before, she started with the base, right? That sold, and then she got bigger. Oh, let's add this. Let's add this. Let's add this. Yeah. So now the menu is like what, 40 items. Yeah. When it used to be 8 items, right? Yeah. So now she's looking at all the costs and all the inventory and all the work that goes into prepping this 40 menu or 40 item menu. Yeah. And she's like, oh wow, okay, well it works, but does it work now? Or is it going to work in the future? Maybe we just dwindle down to like the most the highly sold ones. And that's also a really positive change from this. Because my parents are stubborn. Like, I can be like 100% sure, and like everybody in the world can be backing me, and they're still gonna have doubt. You know? So having that like very clear fact that okay, this is what's going on, this is what's making money, then that really convinced her, and that's positive. Because now we're gonna start making the menu smaller. So we don't have that much inventory. Yeah.
Let's get a little bit more detailed on the menu, okay? Because there's a lot of cooks, chefs, and just foodies out there who listen to the show, watch the show. So can we talk about like the regionality of where the food comes from? Just because, like, I know a little bit about Mexican cuisine, and that means I know how little I know, if that makes sense, right? Okay. It's a vast cuisine, right? Am I right?
It's different, like north, south, east, west, center. It's different all over Mexico.
Yeah. So where is your cuisine from exactly? And let's get into it just a little bit.
So my family, we're from Cuernavaca, Morelos, Mexico. So that's Mexico City is like southern central Mexico. That's 2 hours south of Mexico City, that little place. And then, like I said, in that area, it's a lot of, masa. It's a lot of ground corn with water, and then you cook it up, and then you can form it into whatever. It's literally like edible Play-Doh, right? Yeah. So it's a quesadilla. You can make tacos. You can make sopes, tlacoyos, gorditas, huaraches, and then huarachazos is a huarache that's stuff with beans. Yeah,
that's my favorite thing too.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's like I don't know if it's true or not. My mom says she came up with it, but I mean, I maybe she didn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no history on there.
But. Or it could be a combination of a couple different things specifically from there. Yeah,
to combine it. Yeah,
that's usually what I've found when I'm building a plate and I never call it mine because I've had chefs who have hit me in the face for saying it's mine. It's mine. Yeah. It's a very violent profession.
Right. It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vulgar.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, what? Who the? Do you think you are?
Yeah.
But I think that when I have felt ownership is like taking really time-honored traditions and just tweaking them, often with a similar tradition from a similar place, and just making something we call it slightly elevating it, right? Like with Greek food, right? There's no flour, there's no roux. Do you know what a roux is?
No.
So a roux is butter and flour, right? And when you cook butter and flour and then add it to an already heating sauce, it like thickens the sauce, becomes a thickener, right? So you can have like a soupy consistency of something, right? But that's not in Greek cooking. So in Greek cooking, we have something called avgolemino, right? Which is just egg lemon sauce, right? Or it's there's different versions of it, but it's usually pretty soupy, right? To add a roux to an avgolemino is not to turn the world on its shoulders, but it does give people a completely different experience and change the sauce and just slightly elevate it. And I think that's what your mom has done with the food. Yeah,
and some other stuff.
Yeah. And it's okay. So that's a couple things. So the main star is the masa, and I've noticed that. But like the meats as well, is that kind of like the meats is kind of where you go off of that path? Am I right? Like it gets more varied in where the meats, the different style of meats are from?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not really sure exactly. I mean, we say carne asada anywhere you go in Mexico. You're going to have their own carne asada. Some people do it differently. I don't know exactly how different every, part of the Mexico does asada. Al pastor, the al pastor is the marinated pork. Everybody has their own recipe. And I don't know, my parents just came up with this recipe. I mean, I think it came from Mexico. But they might have did the same thing. Might have upscaled or like leveled it up, or like you said.
It's the best pastor I've ever had.
Yeah, it's really good. It's crazy. And because I go to because I say sure, ours is good, and like people say that. I'm like, but then I go other places, not even just here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like I've been to like Colorado, I've been to like California, all bunch of different places to try these pastor. And like the best one I've tasted is here, and I'm not just being me, because it's my last name.
Yeah.
It's actually like really.
It's not my last name, and it's the best one. Okay. It's by far. I mean, it's by far the best pastor.
It's crazy.
I usually don't even try. I don't try pastors anymore because it's like that. Now, let's just get into a little bit of a nerdy question from me. Okay. Do you guys make when you do the pastor? Because I worked there, but I was young and I didn't see every process of every meat.
Right.
Do you do it on the spit?
Yeah. So we used to do it on the spit. For speed, because there's so much that we have to cook.
Yeah.
The spit is not there anymore,
Okay.
So I guess the authentic way to do it, if you see it on, any videos in Mexico City on the street tacos, they have that spit, they build it up. It takes a long time to build it up, and then once it's built, it's super heavy. So if there's somebody that's strong enough to put it on the spinning, cooker, and then from there you just slice it off.
Well, see, how much time do we have? Okay, yeah, we got like 10 minutes until the next break. So, okay. So here's a little Greek to Mexican connection. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So have you ever watched David Chang's any of David Chang's shows?
Okay. So, no.
So he talks about a place in Mexico where where pastor originated, right? And it was from there was like a big influx of Lebanese immigrants, right? And the Lebanese immigrants were bringing gyros over, right? And gyros, I mean, like, you get gyros now, and it's just like this. It's not good.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's not good, right? Because it's not the traditional way to do it. So the traditional way to do gyros, right, is to take lamb and do it the same way that you're doing pastor, right? Where it's in slabs and it's on a spit, right? And then you shave it off,
Fins.
right? Yeah, and you see that nowadays, but it's kind of like this different, like, weird hamburger. It's not beef, but it's like ground lamb that's been congealed onto a spit. I'm not
right.
It's Greek to me. You can get traditional gyros at It's Greek to me where it's not gross. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But it's the same. So and then the Mexican culture, where I don't remember the city that it was, but it's like obviously over the years that changes and people add their little additions, and then you have pastor.
Right.
So it's like our little connection. I think that's such a cool thing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely one thing that I've noticed at Ocampos that is
the pastor.
It's
Yeah.
It's the best, in my opinion. It's the best pastor that I've ever had, and it's I don't know, the carne asada is pretty good there too. But I always get the pastor. Whatever I'm getting, it's pastor. It's usually horchata or something along those lines with pastor. But you also have soups, right? Like I just saw on Instagram post you had your pozole and menudo, right? And I mean that's the first time that I've had, because there's tripa in the menudo, right?
Yeah.
So it's like there's not a lot of places that you can get things like that anymore. I think that it's hard for people to sell tripe. It's like, but you guys have been doing it for so long that it sells pretty well, I'm assuming, right?
It's like one of the top sellers.
It's the first time that I've had tripe, and it's one of the only times that I've had tripe, and it's fucking phenomenal. Dude. The menudo is really good, and your pozole is good as well, right? Pozole blanco,
or rojo.
Oh, you have rojo as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you can do beef or pork or no meat.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have salsa de avocado, and I mean your salsas are good.
Salsa roja, tomatillo,
Yeah.
Everything.
I mean you got everything.
Yeah, everything.
You really do. You really do have everything, and it's consistently good. And I love that you bring it back to the masa, and that you recognize that is really where, because it's like, when I was younger, I didn't understand why it was so much better, right? It's like you're young, and I'm Greek, right? So there's differences, right? But I just didn't understand why your quesadilla was so much better than everywhere else I got a quesadilla, right?
Yeah.
And it's definitely because of the masa, and you, like we said, you can't get it many other places, and you make it consistently well. Okay, so I think that we should take another short break, and then we'll get into your shelf. We're going to do a little segment, What's on the Shelf, and then we'll say goodbye for today.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
What's on the shelf, man? What's on the shelf, man?
You can put it up on YouTube for free, right? And then all of a sudden
you explode.
Yeah. I mean, and it hasn't happened for me, and it's an interesting thing, because there's a lot of luck. There's a lot of continue to grind and continue to build slowly. There's going viral or whatever. But I've found that I love this show, right? I love kind of the conversations that I get into with people, and it's such a variety of different conversations that I've got to have, that I'm going to continue to do the show, whether it blows up or not. And so everything else is just kind of extra, nice little peppering on, And then, when I'm under a bridge and I'm begging for money, the homies will be there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You have a whole connection.
Yeah.
A whole list. Yeah.
With my cup. No. All right, so let's get into your shelf, man. So I've started having people bring in stuff so that they can kind of the whole time that you're talking, you can be advertising for yourself. So and then I like to talk about what you have on the shelf. So what do you have on your shelf behind you?
Well, I just kind of brought uniforms, pictures of our food, our different advertisements. And a little DoorDash thing to show that we also do to go with the third party companies. So it's kind of just like a whole mix, or kind of important things that I thought maybe I should showcase.
Yeah. So one thing that I didn't know that you had, that I should have known that you had, but I'm over it. With the food truck, right? So you have the food truck, and that's just operational right now, right? We talked a little bit about it before, but now let's get into it. What do you sell on the food truck? Is it mostly just taqueria stuff, or are there only a couple things? Because it's like, that's one thing when you go to the when you go to the soccer stadium, right? It's like, no. This is This is the soccer stadium, Los Ocampos. We're not coming here.
It's not the real.
It's not the real thing. So what do you have going on with the food truck though?
Yeah, well, the food truck can literally be any menu that we want. We can even bring masa, but we chose not to because for the speed of things. But usually what we do is just like flour tacos or corn tacos. Then we have burrito bowls, the salads, or quesadillas, those two.
Yeah.
And then from that we do esquitas, esquitas, remember? So it's like an elote.
Okay, yeah.
But it's all in a cup.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little easier. So we do elotes and esquites, guac and chips, queso blanco and chips, and that's like the main menu that we do. But there are events where people say, no, we don't want any other stuff. We just want straight tacos. So then we just bring a bunch of, corn tortillas and tacos.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that. Yeah, we bring it to downtown Minneapolis, but we kind of didn't do it this year, right? Because it's kind of dead down there.
Yeah.
So next summer when things hopefully open up, we'll go back down there.
Yeah.
And then from there we just get, rented out for this event. For that event, there's an event at that chiropractor. We're going to go sit out there,
Yeah.
That's what we do with that.
Oh, I love that, yeah. I think that one thing in this COVID that I've seen a lot of is the kind of rise of both pop-ups, catering, and food trucks.
I
mean, they're everywhere, and they're more quality. I keep trying to have old girl from Wet Tacos come on because she's kind of like the new thing.
Tacos.
Yeah, and that's not to be demeaning in any way. I might have said that, like an old Greek man, like, she's the new thing. But I didn't mean it that way. But I've seen a lot of that, right? It's like she is doing quality, like, and designing the food in a way that it's aesthetically pleasing, and she's kind of like, people like hot Cheetos. I'm gonna play on that and do like a hot Cheetos sauce or whatever. And I've been seeing a lot more of that. Whereas before, like when we were growing up, a food truck that had like a tiny little sign and tiny little red writing, and you had to like know where the good food trucks were, right? Like we're right by M&H, right? And there's a food truck that had, I don't even remember what they had, but some kind of kick-ass Latin food, right?
Okay.
Latin American food from some country, and it was like, it was always, but it was only there on certain days, and it's like this mysterious food truck. Nobody know who owns it.
There's that feeling to that.
Yeah, and now it's like, these branded, like, fully functioning kitchens, and they're pumping out high volume, and it's good food, right? Yeah. It's a different world, right? It's a different world. So I'm glad that you guys are getting on that kick. I'm glad that you're getting on the event kick. It's good to see the uniforms, man. It's been a while since I've really felt acquainted with the Los Ocampos uniforms. Funny. Yeah.
So the bottom one is like the full service restaurant ones. It's a little bit more, pleasing servers. The one on top, the red one, is the taquerias ones. It's just more quick service.
Yeah. Well, it's cool because in a lot of places that I've worked at, there's this huge difference between short order and like what I say I would do, right? Like even with Dino's, right? Like Dino's Euros is like very short order. It's very like everything's from U.S. foods, and like we're gonna, and then you go to It's Greek to Me, and it's like this crazy, like high scale, very traditional, old school Greek cooking. I think that where you do short order, it's the best of both worlds, right? It's quick, and it's usually the things that take a little bit less time, but it's all, like we've talked about this whole episode, very authentic, and your ma has done a very good job with the recipes. I do want to talk about that top picture, right? And it looks small on our little cameras. Yeah. But I think that we can get
to move it.
Yeah, just like get it in.
This one.
and if I have to, I'll just edit it in. But that's the pastore right there.
I can send you it. Yeah.
And it's like, it's just otherworldly, dude. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Shiny.
Nice. Well, because like a lot of the time when you're cooking, right? So when I'm building a plate and I'm trying to add color, right, to add red to something, usually has to be either specifically a red pepper, right, that hasn't been cooked too much, right, or it has to be something raw, right? Red is not a color that you see too often in cooking, right? It's hard to get it on the final plate, and that is just gorgeous, and it's like we said, it's one of the best things that you can get. Now, is the tacos underneath it? Is that at Machete?
Those are the machete tacos. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So you can get long boards. Do you do like a lot of parties there?
Yeah.
Like, or I shouldn't say parties, but like larger groups.
Yeah. I mean, I think the larger groups are like the suburban because it's like more space there.
Yeah.
But at Machete, I mean, we get larger groups too. And then we also, since we want to feed like a lot of families in Woodbury, because it's a lot of families there, we did the taquiza. So it's basically that picture, but in a to-go box.
Oh, I love
and then
that.
we put it into the to-go box that the Machete goes in. Because that big, 23-inch thing that you have to transport it somehow. We custom made boxes for it.
Oh, I love
and
that.
That's
got dope.
14,000 in the warehouse right now. Yeah.
I love it, dude.
So we're gonna use it for tacos and for machete. So because we have a lot to go through.
Yeah. Now that brings up a point. I like to riff on what you have on your board, but that brings up a point about Machete. What's the alcohol look like at Machete? Because I haven't even asked you about that.
Well, I mean, I think one of the big ideas or big pushing for that was the food to be kind of like stemming from Los Ocampos and have a little twist, but really really much so for the drinks. So for the drinks, like it's you have the classic margaritas and all the tap beers and all that, but on that one I put in a lot of work, going to different places. Like I went to Chicago, I went to California, I went to Colorado, I went to different places to try to see all these restaurants that already have these cocktails that are more upscale and nicer, like a lot more work into them. And then I just came back and I took that and I made my own. And little by little, we made the syrups. So now we have like a tamarind, orangey, spicy margarita over there. We also use mezcal, which is like tequila, but it's smokier. And that really like brings out different flavors in the margaritas, not just being super sweet. We bring out a smoky sweetness with a hint of like spicy. That's what it looks like over there.
I love that, dude.
Different stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad that we actually brought that point up, because I think that it's an important distinction that Machete that you're getting kind of like you're moving into that space, right? And I have a lot of friends who go to places specifically for their drinks, right? And then the food is kind of an afterthought. And I mean, it'll be places where it's the food for me, right? Like I love that food, but they have never even tried it. And I think that Machete is I can't drink, obviously, but from what I've heard, it's like you guys have done really well with that menu, and it's I'm sure it's kind of like an ever changing thing, right? Like and you probably have bartenders who are or bar managers who are batching special ones and doing stuff like that,
constantly learning. And we talked about Otto's the manager there. And he's also like the head bar guy there.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
So he took what I made, and he's like, okay, these are really good, but this one isn't selling that much. Can I maybe like make this one? And then he gives me out like the pricing, and then I taste them like, wow, it's really good. Yeah. So then we moved that one and we put his in. Yeah. So it's constantly he's like, okay, now I made this one. Okay, sweet, let's put it in. Yeah.
Well, that's just for people watching, right? That's a good advertisement for you, because that gives people knowledge that, okay, now you've moved into this area, right?
Not just the classic,
right?
But
like
more,
my bartender friends are like, okay, yep, all right,
let's go try it.
We're gonna try it.
Yeah.
And I think that once they try it, then try the food, then try the menudo the next morning. It's like
you're hungover.
The
menudo's really good for that.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Man, there have been times where I'm just so hungover and I go eat that. I'm like, oh, okay, I feel better.
Yeah, dude, it really does, man. It's just like, everything clears out, your headache goes away. Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that you guys are doing that, because that is definitely something in Mexican culture that is like, I think that there's so much about the food that is like the most beautiful in the world, right? And then the culture around the different alcohols and the way that they play on flavors and stuff like that is also so vital and important, and you can't see it at a place like the Taqueria because of liquor licenses and
it just won't work.
Oh, dude, if you started selling liquor like that at the Taqueria, there'd be fights
a
more than every night, dude. It would be a wild place.
People would be like passed out on the tables probably.
Yeah. That would be intense. Yeah. So you don't get to experience it at the Taqueria, and you got to experience a little bit at the at the suburban location.
And Dale.
But at the same time, like you said, you're trying to, there's a certain demographic of people that will feel comfortable there, and that's kind of what it's designed for. And then at Machete, you get to really enhance that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that clientele over there, they're okay with like a little bit more pricier things, as long as the quality matches the price, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what we focused on for the drinks there and the food, obviously. But Otto constantly knows that, and he's always like learning. Like if people do go try out the drinks at Machete and Otto's there, once things reopen, like just ask him anything about any mezcal or any tequila, or he'll know anything.
Yeah, he's studied it.
He's constantly
he's an artist.
Constantly buying new books and reading it, and like when things start going back to normal, there's this bar competition that he wants to do, so we're gonna back him up for that too, and anything that he needs help with to get in there and compete. And that's going to be good for Machete anyway, and for the drinks that we can make there for people.
I love that, dude.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, I'm going to give that address out to all the homies, because people are always looking for new spots with cool little, and let's be honest, everybody loves mezcal.
Oh, dude, mezcal.
I mean, it's like anybody who's at mezcal loves mezcal.
Yeah.
It's just the way to go.
Preferred over tequila, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, it's kind of like the next step up, I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just and it's like smoked almost. It's like, it's wild, dude. Okay, I can't. I can't.
Yeah, but I mean, one last thing about that, at Machete we have mezcal, we have like a lot of different ones, and they sell, whereas at Suburban, like we put like one Fidencio Clásico, it's just like one normal mezcal. They nobody buys it, nobody cares to even try it.
Yeah,
everybody the clientele at Suburban and at Dale is so stuck to, I just want my classic marg or my real tequila. That's all I want, Yeah,
and that's that doesn't surprise me at all.
Right.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Different places.
And again, it goes back to that variety, right? I think that's why you guys have found the success that you have found. Is because of that. It's like, oh, this works here, we're gonna do this here. This works here. I mean, it's definitely not a coincidence that Machete is in Woodbury, right? Like, it's like very obvious and in a good way, right? So I'm glad that you guys are able to operate on all those different levels. Now, what do you have over on the right there above the DoorDash?
So that's just like a close-up picture that I thought was nice for our nachos at Los Ocampos.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can see it's a lot of flavor, like the guac, the sour cream, and those nachos are just like massive, and they're filling. I really like nachos. It's a really simple thing that can be shared or can be a meal.
Yeah.
So I brought that picture because I liked it.
I've had your nachos at the United. United.
Oh yeah. That was our main thing.
Yeah. Because that's what you do at the stand, and they fly, man.
Yeah, you remember our line?
Yeah. I was like, I'll say hi. I'm not going to stand in the way.
I was, oh, dude. And then I jumped out quick. I said hi, hugged, and then, okay, back into it. Because people are like, where are my nachos?
Well, okay, can I talk to you about that for a second? Like, do you understand how wild that is? Yeah. Because when we were growing up, there was no Minnesota soccer team, right? Exactly. And then the Thunder started, and they would play their games at Central High School.
Oh, really?
You remember that?
I didn't know they played at Central.
Yeah, so they started playing, the Minnesota Thunder started playing their games at Central High School. And then after that, they got like a stadium deal in Blaine by the Schwann Center, where the USA Cup would happen, right? And then so that I think that's their training field now.
No.
But then like they disappeared, right? Like they Thunder went bankrupt or whatever happened, and there was like the Clouds or something that was the female team for a while. Okay. And then there was like they have their feeder programs like the Minnesota Thunder, and then that went belly under. And so it's like playing soccer in Minnesota was like it's like hopeless, right? This is one of the things that people don't understand. Like when you go to other countries, like they don't play for just any team as a kid, right? Like I have a cousin in Greece. He plays for AEK Athens right now, right? Nice. He played for AEK Athens their feeder program, right? The same goes for things like Manchester United,
Spain,
right?
anywhere.
Or in Mexico, right? Fabian played for Puma Youth, right?
Maybe, yeah.
I think it was Puma Youth,
he was
right?
good.
Jesus Christ, dude, that dude was more talented than I've ever seen anybody in my whole damn life.
He could
Crazy.
pull off things that I was like, how did he pull that off? I don't even care. We won.
He was a magician, dude.
Yeah.
He was a magician to the point where like other teams would be so frustrated they'd just start beating the shit out of him.
Yeah, like that one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
you want to talk about it?
Sure, we can talk about it. It doesn't matter anymore.
Okay, yeah. So we were playing this team from Chicago, right?
Yeah.
And they thought they were fucking hard because they were from Chicago, right?
Yeah.
And you got to understand, like, our whole team was we were ready to fight at any point in time. Like, we were always having that was our game, right?
Yeah.
Like, we played kind of rough,
yeah.
but like if you played rough with us, we're gonna beat the shit out of you. Like, it's going to happen.
That was clear.
Like, I had to stop people from grabbing knives from their bags a couple times, dude. Like, it was crazy. So anyways, we're playing this team from Chicago and they think they're hard as fuck, right? And it's during the USA Cup, so you play teams from around the world.
Right.
And it's like kind of supposed to be this thing like you give each other your jerseys at the end of the game,
yeah.
right? Like, we played teams from Brazil and we played teams from England that were hard, contentious games, and then at the end of the game we were like, oh yeah, dude, what's up?
Awesome.
But this team had they had a chip on their shoulder, right?
Yeah.
And Fabian, shout out to Fabian Mayorkin, a dude, fucking gangster, right? He would just dribble through people, right?
So
it was
easily.
like literally like a magician, right? Like I akin it to like Messi, right? It was seriously like Messi but on a kid's team, right? Where he'd take it from one end of the field to the other, and he'd just be like ding 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 ding.
You keep it so close.
Yeah, people would be falling and like
Slide tackling,
missing.
Yeah.
And so he literally dribbled it into the goal, and the goalie just grabbed him by his ankles, and then two more guys tackled him down.
Yeah. I don't know what happened.
Julian,
something switched inside me.
dude, I think you had a protective instinct because we were a close team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we were very much brothers, right?
I'm so mad.
So you were playing defense, right?
Yeah, I came from like the other side of the field.
And came in just full Maradona style and just drop kicked a dude, right? And kicked and kicked and kicked, right? And then they pressed charges.
Yeah, they pressed. Well, yeah, I mean, because I remember, running in and kicking the dude twice. Yeah, that's what I remember.
Yeah,
but I mean, and everybody, it was like whole brawl. I mean, you were there. I mean, there was people in the goal. There was people over there. There's a lot of things going on. I remember kicking him twice and then backing up and then trying to go in again. And when I was going in again, you guess who comes in? I remember my dad. He came on the field. He's like, "What are you doing?" And he pushed me away. I'm like, what? He's like, "What? Get out of here! What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And then after that, everything settled. Fabian got a red card. I got a red card. The other guy, I don't know, had to get carried off because he was all beat up. And then we ended up losing, didn't we? Because you guys got tied, and then they beat you in PKs or something. They beat us in PKs.
Yeah, they beat us in PKs because we were playing because
2 people down.
No, it was more than 2 people down because you guys weren't the only ones who got red cards. Because you got to understand, when something happens on the East Side team, everybody's fucking losing their goddamn minds, right? So we had Jonathan and we had Miguel on the team too, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Jonathan's like, "Hey, Hobbs, what the fuck you think you doing, man?" And he
I remember that.
Out, dude. Yeah. It was like, if he got through an entire tournament without getting a red card, it was already a miracle, right?
Right.
So he was involved, and he was just straight knocking people out.
Yeah.
And Miguel's like this
dude.
Honduran giant, right? From I almost said something minorly racist, but it's like he's from the middle of the fucking jungle. Okay, I said it anyways, and he's come up here. He's literally like
so
7
big,
feet tall and just dinks people, dude. So I think that one of them got a second yellow card and was out of the game. So we were like 3 people short. Yeah. So then they were like eventually scored another goal, and they were like, and we're like, and then they beat us in PKs.
Right.
Well, who gives a fuck, right? Yeah. It was like we kind of won that game, right, in spirit, because
awesome.
like we taught them what it was like when you fucked with the wrong people, you know? And but that was very much our soccer experience.
And since we taught them that, they're like, well, since we can't do anything else, right, and we beat them, but we want to do more to them, let's press charges against that one kid.
Dude, that's so messed up.
Yeah.
It's so messed up. Like, I always tell this story in a way where it's like you really have never been like that, and like everybody else on that team, myself included,
you guys all like to fight.
We were always ready to fight, and you were the one who got brought charges.
The one time I lost, I got But anyway, it went away after I turned 18. I had to do some community service, and what else? I was on probation.
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
It's
way better than my record. No, okay, so we got off a little tangent, but the point was that, it's like Fabian came with this talent, but he was like, he had played for a professional, technically a professional team. It was at the youth level, but for a professional team, right? And he was kind of like being taught to eventually play on that team, and then he ended up coming here.
Right.
But with us, it's like, where are you gonna go?
There's nowhere to get that training.
Yeah, and like, and the colleges are like, okay, it's good to play D1, right? But it doesn't work in the same way. Like, to go to a D1 college and then get chosen for a team is very different than the like, you're gonna be brought by this team out into the middle of the mountains in Greece, and you're gonna play soccer for your whole life, and then you're gonna be a professional soccer. That's what happened with my cousin, right? Nice. And I just saw a freaking awesome video. I posted it of him like.
I think I saw it.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's crazy.
Spitter Paulos, man. Boom, dude. Right in the upper 90 from half field.
Yeah.
But so like, to see the origin of the Minnesota United, right?
Yeah.
It happened, and at first they didn't have a stadium, right?
Yeah.
And it was like kind of like, they're a pro team, they're making it happen, right?
Let's go to a game.
And then they got their stadium, right?
Yeah.
And when I went to their stadium for the first time, dude, I brought a girl there, and I was just like, oh my god, I was like a kid in a candy store, because it's like they're playing Atmosphere, right? Which is, it's music that I grew up listening to from Minnesota. The stadium is from Minnesota, and then Julian and Ocampos is there, and that's where I had my first job. It's like, it's truly a Minnesotan community of soccer. And it's just so cool when you're surrounded in the stadium. It's not the biggest stadium ever, but it's full, and everybody's got their flags, and it's just, it shows you kind of what sporting is all about. Because for us, when we were young, I didn't, at least me, I didn't really get what the whole thing about football was, and like why people were into the states. If you can trade players from state to state, like, it's not Minnesotan, it's not Minnesotan. At least that's what my mind was thinking, right? And now I get to experience that on just a little bit more of a visceral level. It's very cool. Like, this is what raised me, and this is the area that I was raised by, and this is how it is expressed in this medium, dude. It's so cool.
And I think when we were doing these the deals with Minnesota and getting in there, they really wanted us because of because we're just like somebody in the community. They didn't want to just bring in, I don't know what big people are like, the corn dog people, the big ones. They wanted somebody that could do corn dogs from here, But so that was really cool. So that's why we got in there, because we were like a staple of Mexican food here.
Yeah.
So
you are, dude. And I want to thank you for doing the show. Because
thank you for having me.
This show is Minnesota well done.
Yes.
Right. It's about Minnesotan cuisine. I'm not going to have. I've had a couple people from out of state, but they cut their teeth here. That's they're from here. They became big here, right? And they moved away. They're probably going to move back, kind of thing. This is a Minnesotan show, and you and your family are an absolute staple of Mexican food, not just in St. Paul, not just in Minneapolis, but in Minnesota as a whole. And I'm glad that I got to show you to my fan base.
Well, thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun, and I mean, this is not going to be the end, right? We'll keep talking and hanging out. And
we'll definitely do it again. We'll definitely do it again. In terms of hanging out, when I'm done with the semester, I'll have a little bit more time, and we can we can hang out. I can see your wife and your
little one,
baby. Yeah. Oh my god!
Her name is Frida, like Frida Kahlo. Yeah. She's so crazy. She's so energetic. She speaks so much too.
It's gonna make me cry, dude. You're gonna see me hella cry. I'm so emotional.
That's okay.
But we'll definitely we'll set that up at the end of finals. But then when COVID kind of gets when whatever. When we're on the other side of COVID, whenever that happens, I'd love to have you back on the show, and we can talk about projects that you're doing and where you're moving forward, and maybe there'll be a little bit more of a draw when you do that, and you'll get some new customers.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Thanks,
Thank
dude.
You. Awesome.
All right. Yeah, bye. Oh, I love you too.
I love you too. I love you. Oh, I love you too. Yeah.
You snuck that in on me.
I love you. Te amo.
Te amo también, güey.
My heart, lovers remember my old arms are burning of my memory. My shovel writes a new song. I can almost hear them singing along as I keep digging away. Her love rubbed me raw, methamphetamine, alcohol, if only left me stay. Buried in the backyard, long after gone to my childhood dog bodies. Some of them were my friends. Some were more like enemies. Shouldn't matter now to them. Should've said something much to Last night I took apart most everything in your garage and got myself some dollars and cents. Taken off to St. Paul, and I will surely spend it all on Hope Street, the last house on the block. My phone's ringing, but I muted. She probably wants to know what the hell I'm doing, but man, I don't really fucking know.